The long-term debris removal is going to take a great deal of time. This is going to take the better part of a year to remove all of this debris and over $1 billion to complete. I'm speaking with the folks at FEMA on Saturday to review the first options. There are pieces of land not in Lahaina, because we're not going to rebuild anything in Lahaina, obviously, for a significant amount of time, not only because it's impossible, because the people of Lahaina have not yet told us what to build, but in and around Lahaina, there may be some need for temporary housing. Since August 16th, the American Red Cross, the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, and FEMA have relocated over 7,500 displaced survivors from shelters to a total of 29 hotels and hundreds of Airbnbs. 15,931 individuals have filed for FEMA relief. The accommodations I have described will continue to provide meals, casework services, financial recovery resources, and other disaster relief assistance until we're able to move to the next phase of our recovery. However, hotels can't be our long-term solution to housing in West Maui. We've entered into an agreement with the Red Cross to house our people for a minimum of 36 weeks. We're also pursuing relationships with large numbers of homeowners who have historically used their properties for short-term rentals to convert them into longer-term rentals to accommodate displaced residents. Residents can actually enter into much longer agreements to receive housing through FEMA. FEMA will continue to assist us with direct leases and rental assistance grants to ensure that people can stay housed for 18 months well into 2025. Finally, a smaller number of transitional temporary housing units in the form of kauhale communities will be built on Maui to aid those not housed in long-term rentals or hotels. Now, there's another amount of housing that we have to begin to prepare for, and that's temporary housing that's much more substantial, that people may want to live in very long-term. I'm speaking with the folks at FEMA on Saturday to review the first options. There are pieces of land not in Lahaina, because we're not going to rebuild anything in Lahaina, obviously, for a significant amount of time, not only because it's impossible, because the people of Lahaina have not yet told us what to build, but in and around Lahaina, there may be some need for temporary housing. We can do that. The way it works with FEMA is for those who don't have any insurance, for those who have costs that are unmet, they will provide a huge grant, usually it's after a year. We've gone through 4 months of meetings, and that will determine how much money we get and how much we can build. And I'm expecting that to be well over $1 billion of housing monies, but time will have to tell. So that's where we'll find certain parcels of land, and I would like to build those sooner rather than later, because after 18 months, it's not totally clear that we'll have ongoing resources for people. So as soon as I get the green light from FEMA, I'm going to start those conversations, and I would like to see us build 500, 1,000, 1,500 units of some sort if the community will have them. This has nothing to do with the Emergency Housing Proclamation or the Homeless Proclamation. It simply has to do with disaster recovery and what FEMA can offer. So just so we don't, I don't want to confuse two things. There's two forms of housing that we're going to be pursuing, okay? Really even three. There's going to be the hotels and Airbnbs, right? For anybody that we can get into them, and that will be most of the population. The kauhale we build, right now there were 165 individuals that were homeless in the region before the fire, and we've been taking care of everybody. Those individuals qualify for almost no programs, unfortunately. They didn't have housing, they didn't have a rental. So for them, we're going to stand up some kauhale, okay? That's a universe of up to 165 people. Now we turn to Lahaina town and our road to recovery and healing. Many displaced survivors have asked when they can return to their homes and properties and businesses to survey the damage. In the coming weeks, we'll begin to schedule supervised visits for displaced people to return and view their property under safe conditions. I need to share this with you. The ash, we are told, is quite toxic, so we need to be careful. Once the EPA has completed its removal of hazardous materials from the affected areas, which is ongoing, this process will take 3 to 4 months, we can begin the removal of other debris. To be clear, people will get in soon, but the long-term debris removal is going to take a great deal of time. We're in a partnership right now with FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers in this effort. This is going to take the better part of a year to remove all of this debris and over $1 billion to complete. This will be supported by the federal government. The people of Maui must have as much time as they need to heal and recover, and will begin to rebuild only when they are ready, according to the timeline they choose. Many have asked when it will be the right time to reopen West Maui to visitors. There's no easy answer to this question, but I can say this, that if we support Maui's economy and keep our people employed, they'll heal faster and continue to be able to afford to live on Maui. Beginning October 8th, 1 month from today, all travel restrictions will end, and West Maui will be open to visitors again, so people from Hawaii and around the world can resume travel to this special place and help it begin to recover economically. This difficult decision is meant to bring hope for recovery to the families and businesses on Maui that have been so deeply affected in every way by the disaster. Today is meant to be a day of clarity. The fire occurred on August 8th. Today, September 8th, a month later, and people can travel as they know, as of this moment, anywhere throughout Hawaii and anywhere through Maui except for West Maui as of this moment. On a month from today, 10/8, there will be no travel restrictions whatsoever. Also, the capacity that the hotels have to provide for our displaced victims, the displaced families, that period ends more or less right before October 1st. So there'll be far fewer people in hotels. We will concentrate our individuals that stay in hotels into just 2 or 3 hotels, and all the other hotels will be able to function as normal. I will say this, there may be slightly fewer rooms because some of the hotels are putting up their own workers. That's an important thing that they've been doing. It provides comfort. It also provides a sense of family and community. But all the other hotels will be able to open. They are eager to put their people back to work. I've met with virtually all of them. So as of a month from today, people should know there are no restrictions whatsoever. People can come to Maui, any part of Maui with the exception of Lahaina, which of course has had a devastating fire. With the exception of Lahaina, when 9/11 happened, we ended up having a whole industry of security that developed. Now that the Lahaina fire has happened and some of these other fires across the globe, I believe you're going to see a whole swath of policy that speaks to an era of climate change with superstorms. And I'm going to speak at the UN, I think a week from Sunday. And I'm going to give this speech, which is that in an era of climate change with enhanced storms, everyone is vulnerable. And I hope that that begins to resonate with people, because if we're going to have these sustainability goals, they should include this kind of response.